Alrighty, kicking things off with the 101st ball. Here we go. Which one will it be? Kicking things off with 360. Perfect circle, wasn't it? Next up, we have 397. That's a high one. Coming up next is number 16. Not quite a record low, but next up is 277. Coming up next, we have 137. And next up, we have 88. Thank you for tuning into the program tonight. Hope you're all having a lovely day. Coming up next is 264. 284. What do you know? Swapping out that middle digit. Here we go. Next up is 389. It's a fun one. Coming up next is number 84. And next up is 171. Gotta love them. Next up, we are at number 109. Go. Alrighty. Coming up next is 364. And next up is 117. Coming up next is number 47. On a double digits this time. Like it. Next up is number 182. Alrighty. And next up is number 241. Coming up next, we have 287. And next up is number 42, meaning of life. What do you know? And next up is 256. That is a really good number. Coming up next is 347. Next up is 255. Another outstanding number. Coming up next is 34. Next up is 314. Just shoving a 1 right in the middle of that 34. And coming up next is an even 70. Next up, we got 230. Coming up next is 237. Next up is 49. 7 squared. Gotta love it. Coming up next is 343. Gotta love those palindromes. Next up is 121. Speaking of palindromes, what do you know? What is odds? Next up is 17. I love those low numbers. Low numbers. Next up is 165. Again, thank you so much for supporting the Oregon Schools Foundation. It means the world. Next up is 8, our first single-digit number. What do you know? How fun is that? Next up is 250. Here we go. Next up is 216. Coming up next, we have 295. And next up is 394. Fantastic. Next up is 68. And coming up next is 348. Next up is 304. Next up is 148. Coming up next, we have 96. And coming up next, we have 110. Even number. Alrighty. Coming up next, we have 126. Fantastic. Next up is 380. This is leaning off the edge a bit. That could have been bad. Next up is number 79. Coming up next, we have number... Could I get clarification on this? Is that an 81?
I believe so.
Or could it be an 18?
Check with Chris.
Is that an 18 or an 81?
81.
81?
18.
Up next is 81. Fantastic. And next up we have 173. And one more. Here we go. Next up we have 135. And you know what time it is. We're going to mix this up again because the 150th winner is lucky number 43. The crowd goes wild. Congratulations, number one. Well, just 43.